Hi, I'm Marcus Hutzel, and in this video, I'm going to tell you why you should not use your Apple Airpods or any other similar style earbuds for your serious or important online meetings and presentations.
And this is the reason why. The audio quality you're hearing now is not very good and is not what would be considered very professional or even good sound quality. But this is the actual sound coming from the internal microphone on my AirPods. You see, Apple, Samsung, and all the other earbud companies have done a pretty good job of making the speakers inside their earbuds sound good to you. But what you must remember is that the microphones built into these small devices are simply not designed to capture the full audio frequency spectrum. They are designed to cut out a lot of the lower frequencies and a lot of the higher frequencies, leaving only the middle frequencies. Remember that the speaker in these devices, that is what you hear out of these devices, is different than the microphone on these devices. They are two separate entities, and the audio quality is quite different between the two. Okay, let's go back to some better sounding audio for the duration of this video. I'm going to switch over to my real microphone.
All right, so the sound you heard was coming from my Apple AirPods 2 earbuds. And yes, these are Apple AirPods 2. I just covered them in a custom wrap from Slick Wraps, make them a little bit more of my own. But it really doesn't matter which model of AirPods, be it the AirPods 2, the AirPods Pro, or really any other earbud you have. None of the microphones in them are meant to do anything more than really make a phone call. That's why my voice sounded like I'm on a telephone, or at least an old school telephone. You see, when telephones were first developed, they never intended the entire frequency range of human hearing to be transmitted over standard telephone lines. In short, again, they cut off the low frequencies and they cut out the high frequencies, and only allowed the middle frequencies to be transmitted. Now, the human voice spans a wide frequency spectrum, with fundamental tones anywhere from around 85 Hz, which is really low, up to about 14,000 Hz or 14 kilohertz, with the fundamental frequencies being in the low 100s to 200s. But you don't need to hear that fundamental frequency of my baritone voice to understand what I'm saying, because all voices create sounds at many different frequencies, many of which are just simply called harmonics of the fundamental, but that's a whole bunch of science you don't necessarily need to understand. All you need to know is that you can still be well understood if you turn down the lower frequencies and the upper frequencies of a human voice. You see, original and modern telephone lines and signals, even cell phones, limit the audio range of the standard phone call from about 300 Hz to about 3400 Hz. Why is that? Because that is the range that allows humans to hear another human voice most accurately. Even though there are low frequencies and high frequencies inherent in my voice as well as yours, most of the frequencies that we produce just sit in that middle range. So it's that middle range that allows you to understand what I'm saying. So since most of the microphones on your AirPods or similar earbuds are designed to make phone calls, they also simply limit the frequency range in which they pick up. Now, whether this is due to the design or intention or the physical limitations of putting a very tiny microphone on a very tiny earbud, I'm not exactly sure, but it's apparent by listening to the audio quality coming from the microphone on my AirPods that they severely limit the frequency range that they pick up, and therefore transmit. This is regardless of whether it's a telephone call, Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Google Meets, or even an audio recording software. None of the software or virtual meeting platforms can improve the audio if they only receive a certain frequency range to begin with. So since the frequency range is already limited from the time it goes into the microphone of my AirPods, it's going to sound like a phone call, no matter what I do. And I use my AirPods all the time to have internal staff meetings or video calls or just regular phone calls with coworkers. But if you're going to be the main presenter in a more professional atmosphere, like if you're presenting on a live stream to the public, or a larger group or your company team, even something like this $35 USB microphone is going to sound 10 times better than using your AirPods. And depending on your laptop, the placement of that laptop, and the microphone that's built into your laptop, that might actually sound better than using your Apple AirPods, because laptop mics usually pick up a wider frequency range so it won't sound like a phone call. So just remember to separate out what it is you're hearing from the signal you're sending out. That is, remember that the speakers and the microphones on these devices are not the same thing. They are two different things. Speakers are for you, microphones are for them. So again, the sound in your ears from your online meeting may sound great,
But that does not mean you're transmitting great sound if you're using tiny earbuds.
So I hope that this has been informative in learning how you sound to others, and if it's important to you. If better sound is important to you, I encourage you to take a little time, do a little research, and maybe spend a little bit of money to get yourself a better microphone for your setup. Or at the very least, learn how to use what you do have more effectively, and be able to control things like where you are, how the room sounds, and where your mic is placed. It can make all of the difference in the world, and how you present yourself. If you're looking for a great microphone, my favorite option is the microphone I'm using now, the Rode VideoMic NTG. It may be a bit pricey for people that are not really into the audio and video industry, or maybe don't plan on having a virtual setup for very long, but it has spectacular sound quality and it can plug directly into your laptop via USB cable. And again, it's what you're hearing right now. And there's a lot of options online for USB microphones. Just make sure that you position them properly so as to pick up the best sound quality from your voice. Because again, getting a good microphone doesn't mean it's going to sound better unless you use it properly. And of course, with any of these options, even AirPods, it's always best to do some sort of recording test. Zoom allows you to record directly to your computer. You can hook up everything, tell Zoom to use whichever microphone you have selected, even your AirPods, record yourself, and then listen back and verify what audio quality you were sending from your microphone of choice. If you don't like what you hear, you can always make a change, but you are never going to get better quality out of Apple AirPods. And that's it. If presenting yourself in the best light and sound is important to you, don't use your AirPods. Good luck.